The work is exploring the question, who am I? And it's a very simple way of experience. And easiest to start visually. You can't see your own face. True? You can't see your own face. So for me, from my point of view, my hands disappear, you see. I'm looking out of nothing. I don't see my face, I don't see my eyes. So this is my own experience of who I am, which is space for the world. And when I look at another person, then because I don't see my face, I see that person's face instead. And we call it face to no face. So this is just, in the work that I do, the question is, who am I? And this approach is experimental. And we've got a whole range of experiments for people to do to awaken to their own point of view, to who they really are, their private identity. See? So, for example, one of the simplest is you direct people's attention at something in front of them. So you might point at the floor. You say, what do you see? You see the floor. Point at your knee. It's very simple, isn't it? Direct your attention at your knee. I see my knee. Point at your torso. Yeah? Now point at where others see your face, you see. So when I do that, I'm directing my attention to the place I'm looking out of, right, that only I can see. And I know that you see my face here from there. But when I point here and look, I see no face. And I'm pointing, it's a non-verbal experience. But if I was to put it in words, I'd say I'm pointing at nothing. See, no thing, space, capacity, that is full of the world. So then, when I've got people to point back at their no face, then I say, well, why not point out at the same time? See, like this. And that indicates that this nothing at center is full. It's full of this room now, and full of sounds and sensations. And we've got a whole load of experiments. They're great fun, they're very simple, and they're effective. And we've got them on the website, so lots of people have come to seeing who they really are by going to the website. See, you can do the pointing experiment. And there's one with movement, so you get people to point and turn around. So from the outside, they're turning and the room is still, but watch your own direct experience. Mine is that the room goes past my finger, right? So I'm still and the world turns. And this is very practical because then you can notice when you're driving, see? And for me, my point of view is the scenery moves and I'm still. But I know that for others, I'm in a car moving along the road, see? So this is the difference between what I call the private and the public. And it's just such a wonderful thing to awaken to being headless, see? To this openness here that's always there. And this makes sense scientifically, and it makes sense psychologically, and it makes sense spiritually. Scientifically it makes sense because what you are depends on where the observer sees you from. So you're seeing me from there, so at a range of several feet you see my human appearance. But if you come up to me, you lose that. You know, you get a patch of skin, and then you get some cells and molecules. In other words, we're like an onion with layers. And from out there, you see my human layer. And if you went further away, you'd see California, and then America and the planet. And so I've got a human face from that range and a planetary face at a greater range. And I need all these layers to sit here and breathe, you see. But then the question is, so that's verifiable by science, but then the question is, what's at the center of all these layers? What's at the center of the onion? And others, including scientists, can get very close to particles where you've almost disappeared, you see. But they can't get right to your center. They always stay distant. But you're at your center and you can look. And when you look, you see that the reality at the heart of all these appearances, all these layers, is this awake nothing, full of your unique view out. So that's the scientific bit, if you like. It's a beautiful picture of who we are, many layered with the one at the center. The psychological context, if you like, is we've got 4 stages in our lives. And normally we just think we've got 3. So the first stage is the baby, then the child, the adult, and the seer. The baby's headless. See, it looks in the mirror and doesn't think of itself as that picture there. Just at large, open. So that's why we love being around babies, because they give us permission to be headless. See? Yeah? See? From day 1, everyone around you starts reflecting back what you look like. Nice little baby. And gradually, through language, you learn about what you look like, that you've got a head. And in the second stage of the child, you're learning fast about your head, your name, your nationality, your gender, your place in the world. Fantastic. But you haven't quite got in the box yet. You keep forgetting about the box, and then you live freely from this openness, see, until someone says, behave yourself and get back in your box. You see, oh, forgot. The third stage is the adult, and by the time we're adults, we are fully identified with what we look like. We look in the mirror and say, that's me. In other words, you kind of, in imagination, you take the picture and flip it inside out, expand it and put it on. See, you never do that actually, but you believe you do. And you're fully convinced now that you've got a face, which you do for others, but you're convinced you've got one for yourself, really. That you're in this body, that your thoughts aren't at large, your feelings aren't at large, they're all in this box. So that's the third stage, where we identify with what others tell us we are, our public identity, and we overlook our private identity, the one. There's one eye, there's one listening. And if anyone in that third stage says to me, Richard, actually you're headless, I say, you're completely mad. Of course I've got a head. See, I know I can't see it, but I've got one. See, so I've fully bought into the social view of me, and I'm denying the reality of the private, because the private experience of being open space for the world, only you experience. Everyone else experiences your public identity. So it takes a very unusual person to stand up to the public view and say, I am not what I look like. You've got my appearance, you see. So most people generally stop there. Life is about finding out who you are as an individual, taking responsibility for that person as well as you can, and that's it. But there's a fourth stage, which we're celebrating here at the conference, of course, which is reawakening to your, what I say, your headlessness, see, being the one, which is totally private, but the most obvious thing. See, the most obvious thing in the world is you can't see your face. You're looking out of open space. And everyone's face is your own, because you've nothing in the way, you're built open. See, it's wonderful. And my voice is coming out of the silence now. See, for me, not out of a mouth, out of the nothing, magically. See? And so the fact that I'd forgotten and thought I got ahead here is a brilliant thing, because now I have the joy of rediscovering I don't. Or rather, I do for you, but I don't for me. And this is, in the story of our lives, these 4 stages, the baby, the child, the adult, and the seer, is a fantastic journey. And because in the beginning of your life, you're the one without knowing about your individual self, or the selves of others, you see. And life is about acquainting yourself as the one with being the little one, the one in the mirror. And in order to identify deeply with that individual self, you as the one have to forget you're the one, in a way. But when you reawaken to being the one, you then don't have to deny the little one. The little one is a vehicle for expressing the one, like I'm doing now. And the one, in the period of your own life, has evolved, you see. Now the one as the one doesn't evolve. Nothing is full of something, and that never changes. But within that, the feeling of self and other arises. So in the period of one's life, you as the one develop into the one that is also many. This means that the one can talk to itself, like it is doing now. Because if it was only one, it wouldn't bother, I think. because there'd be no one to talk to. So the one is, who we really are is very smart. We often think it isn't, but it's on a great adventure.